Welcome to the Jackie Chan cast. We're going to take a quick break to talk about spring 2018 anime, and then back to all Jackie Chan all the time. I'm Ben.
I'm Scott.
I'm Kieran.
We're doing the Fuck Buddies today. We're going to talk about...
Don't fuck some buddies.
Yep. We're buddies. We fuck. I probably said the exact same dumb thing last season.
Oh, yep.
I think so.
I will probably say it next season. People know what they come here for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hinamatsuri.
That's what I come for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guys, let's talk about waifus.
Let's talk
Okay.
about
Let's talk about who we come for. Or husbandos.
Yeah.
Or both. We've done both in the past sometimes. So let's talk a little bit about the format here. We've got some personal awards. These are very personal things that I would never presume to try to get anybody else to agree with my consensus on. Then we got some panel awards where we can really just cut a bitch over until we bludgeon each other into submission. But let's start with the personal. Best waifu or husbando. Scott, I see you stroking your beard. What you got for me?
See, I can never choose one or the other. I always got to have a waifu and husbando because they're always best boy and best girl.
Look, Scott's poly. It's allowed.
Yeah.
That being said, it's kind of a little bit difficult for me because I haven't given a whole lot of thought about to this category this year. Mostly because I'm going to be honest with you, it's been a lot of girls and a lot and a lot of the guys are kind of that means I don't have a lot of dudes to pick from. But I also have too many girls. That being said, for husbando. If we're going by looks, man, it's hard to beat Mr. Megalobox himself, Naked Boy Joe.
Yeah.
Because damn, that boy is. Whenever he gets that smile, I'm like, swoon.
It's true. I like more of a clean-cut boy. I'm a Nita man.
Nita. Yeah, I can see that.
That's who I was gonna bring up. Was also Nita. Like he's perfect. He's everything you want.
He's got that Yakuza money.
Oh, I know, and he could take care of you.
Yep. And he puts on that apron, he starts cooking.
Yeah.
See, he's a hard boy, but he's got a sensitive side.
Yeah, he does.
But on the other hand, if I'm gonna have to choose personality overall in this season, especially if we're gonna go down to what ended up getting cut, because I can barely remember all of the different shows that we watched this season. I can only remember basically what was left. I might have to go with Sugimoto.
You know, nothing wrong with that. And boy, yeah, so you say personality. That boy is cut, okay? He's got it coming from both sides.
Yeah, no, he's funny, he's strong, he's relatively intelligent, he's not dumb. I mean, he's not the smartest guy, but I'd probably have to go with Sugimoto for husbando. But when it comes to waifu,
Okay.
it's unfortunate, and maybe she was a little bit older, but I'm sorry, Serpa, man, she's just perfect. When she hits 18, she's gonna destroy. Every man around her is going to be destroyed.
Yeah.
And I don't mean sexually. I mean they're just going to fall over trying to get with her, and they're all gonna fail.
Yeah.
Or just fall over from a poisoned arrow.
Exactly.
I knew Batman.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah, it's funny that you say, oh, the female characters this season, amazing, and it's true, they're all fucking underage.
I know.
Oh, yeah, actually.
That's why I could pick a dude off the top of my hat, but
Yeah.
And I'm going to put this down now. You can't choose Fujiko because then everyone would choose Fujiko.
You know what? I wouldn't choose Fujiko.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Fujiko's great. Fujiko's not the marrying type, all right?
No.
That's true.
I wouldn't trust her if she said yes.
exactly.
If you are lucky, all you'll wake up to is a pillow with adieu and lipstick. That is the best case
Yeah.
scenario. So no, Fujiko not even in the running as far as I'm concerned.
That's fair.
I'm sure a great lay, not waifu material.
Yeah.
My waifu, so a Serpa, strong front runner, but again, underage. Anzu, like, amazing. That is a little girl.
Okay,
Yeah.
we're gonna. I would say age them up, but if aging them up is not appropriate, then
Look, I'm not, again, this is a personal category. I'm not going to tell anybody else what not to do, okay? I I don't feel that I can just like mentally add 10 years and then feel okay. That's just me. Y'all do what you like. I'm going to pick a dark horse candidate. I would also like to mention Utako was an early front runner.
That's what I expected.
Yeah. And then
she turned into a total evil bitch?
Little bit. And look, she's still real good, okay? But much like Fujiko, not quite to that same extent. I'd date her. You know I'd fuck her. Not waifu material. Guys, let's talk about Tsunoda from Aggretsuko.
Oh, damn! I forgot Haida. Shit.
This little deer girl who you think is just like, oh, girly girl.
Yeah.
She sucks up to the boss.
Which, by the way, slight spoilers for Aggretsuko because you learn this about Tsunoda later.
Yeah, fair point. In fact, we should throw out there, by the way, spoilers galore from this point out. We are talking about everything.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen Aggretsuko, maybe tune out for this segment right here.
And we'll try and remember to give you a little warning if we're about to get into that deep shit, but just as a general blanket, we're going to talk about some spoilers. Tsunoda is not doing what she does blindly. She is doing it with purpose. She is doing it with a forethought. And I respect Tsunoda in a way that I did not expect to. And you know, at the end of the day, what is she doing that's so wrong? She's going out there making people feel good. Does her boss deserve it? No. No, because he's not actually a good person. But I believe that with a man that does deserve it, I think that she would be a loyal and supportive person. Tsunoda. And you would have to have rock hard confidence to be in that relationship, to not worry that she's just telling you what you want to hear. Like that would constantly be in the back of your head. I think that having that rock hard frame, that would be a challenge that I would find interesting.
This little dear girl from Sanria.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean.
Yes, Scott. You finally got your wish. Ben chose a furry person.
Also, I completely forgot that we have My Hero, but at the same time, you know, even aging all of them up, I'd have trouble choosing any waifus or husbando. Except for I love Yayorozu, so I mean, have her be my runner-up to a Serpa.
This is the thing, though. I don't want a waifu. I feel like there were a lot of girls, but I gotta agree with Ben that they were just all children, and that's not what I'm looking for. So,
well, it doesn't. It helps for me that in anime most of the time, like the kids are just adults, tiny adults.
Oh yeah.
So for me, it's less of their actual age thing because I kind of just ignore that and age them up to whatever actual mental age.
I get you.
Yeah.
You don't have to defend yourself. You're fine. So I'm gonna just go with a husbando this time. And I wanted to say Nita. I did. I really did. But God, I'm sorry, every time he wasn't on the screen, if I didn't want Joe all over me, if I didn't just want to take him down and learn more about each other than I would ever expect.
Yep.
Because I feel like...
Take you to greater heights, man.
Yeah, I know. And I feel like we could just do a lot of good things together. I feel like he'd prop me up in all the right ways, and I'd be in his corner. I'd give him the rubs. I'd give him the rubs in all the right ways, and he would be there to tell me to ganbatte and just be myself. And we can go on motorcycle rides together. Ooh. I could grab his nice sturdy abs. And he'd be like, "What's that in the back?" I said, "No, nothing. It's just a present for later." I give him a little wink and a kiss, and then run my hand through his afro.
Strong choice.
Yeah.
Strong choice.
Oh, wow.
Guys, let's talk about
how long he's been thinking about that. How prepared that was. I'm thinking about that.
Dude, he's so hot. hot.
He's
hot as
ridiculous.
shit.
Trust me, he's ridiculously hot.
Yeah.
And he's my runner up to Sugimoto. Like, he's hotter than Sugimoto, like
Oh, he's so
by a
good.
million miles.
Well, these are decisions that hopefully we would never change with hindsight.
No.
But let's talk about the Hindsight Award, a decision that you made over the course of the past season that, given the opportunity, 2020 vision, maybe I'd change that. This could be a vote. This could be, a sign that you held up.
I would have given Woodakoi one more chance because because that's the only thing I could think that I might change.
Mm-hmm.
I might have given Woodakoi one more eggplant. I mean, I know a lot of people say it got better after you killed it, but that show had room to get better, so I kind of believe that's a possibility. A probability, maybe not, but I still think if you put a gun in my head and say change one thing, that'd be it.
I think I would nix the 3-episode rule. I think so. A while ago, we had to take a week off. I think because I was on vacation, and we asked, should we be able to kill 2 things this week? I came out against it. We put it to an audience poll. Audience decided to let us kill things. That's fine. My argument there was, I think tiebreakers are fun. I want tiebreakers to happen. That said, why prolong when you know something needs to die? Like, because tiebreakers are fun, that's a pretty good reason. This 3-episode rule, I don't think that's a good reason. I think that's arbitrary. I think we should be able to just kill stuff.
I do think that every season so far, we've had at least one thing that was just
off at that first week.
Yeah, there was no, even this latest season, which honestly was our strongest season so far.
Easily.
Yeah.
It didn't have it didn't have the highest of place further than the universe, but it still maintained a higher overall average of quality.
Yep.
Even in this season, there was still what was the first thing that we killed? I couldn't remember.
Giga.
Yeah, gay. After that.
We may not have killed that in its first week, but we definitely would have killed it in its second.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I feel like you know the Doctor Who thing when a good man goes to war talking about having a code. A good man doesn't need a code. A good man just does what's right. I think we can trust ourselves to do what's right. I think when we honestly see potential in everything that first week and nothing just needs to die, I think we should trust ourselves to know that and give everything enough of the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you saying that in the next season we won't have that 3-episode rule? Please say you're saying that because I can't do this.
I'm saying I am in favor of that. Are you in favor of that, Scott?
I am in favor of getting rid of the 3-episode rule at this point after proving that it is not necessary.
I
Kieran?
think after there is at least, if we out of 10 shows, that is just, we'll always have one thing that it's bad. You know it doesn't belong. And Comic Girls was never that. Comic Girls was always good. Wodakoi was always shit. Gegege no Kitaro sucks. I regret nothing. There's not a single decision I would have changed.
Interesting.
No. I think everything I did this whole season was perfect. Probably immaculate. It was probably always correct. And I still think that one bit of Sword Art Online was worth the 5 episodes that it took to get there. It was absolutely worth it. 100%. That recap episode, watching the recap episode when we said we didn't need to, and I must have missed that.
The interesting thing is I actually went back and the recap part I don't care about. It was the part after that was really funny, especially as a PUBG player. I was damn it, this map again. And my God.
You get it.
Guys, let's talk about shows that disappointed us. This is a category that's about the tension between your expectations and the reality. It doesn't mean worst show, because let's get real. A lot of the worst shows we know are the worst shows going in. We have no illusions. Guys, let's talk about Wotakoi. I wanted to like that show so bad. I wanted another MMO junkie. I wanted a show that had something interesting to say about relationships. I did not want this clumsy mess that we got. Wotakoi was my most disappointing show.
Most disappointing show for me is difficult because I feel like I didn't have a whole ton of expectations for some of these, and the ones that I did mostly pulled through on them. Oh man, all right, I'm about to get a ton of heat from both of you. Megalobox is my most disappointing show because I expected actually greater from it. I expected it to be a better show than what I got. What I got was still really good, but ultimately, it wasn't until like the last third of it that I felt like I finally actually got into its groove. And even then, its ending just kind of left me unsatisfied.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you're at fault for expecting the show to personally come to your home and give you a blowjob. Okay, no, that's valid.
Yeah, I think so. Look, John. I'm happy you got 100 on your test, but you didn't get 105 like Billy down the street. So I'm not happy enough.
I'm just saying, its first episode set me up for a lot, and I just didn't feel like it lived up to that for the rest of its run. Like I felt like it did some really cool things, but I also felt like it never really wowed me like it did at the beginning. It never kept that awesome nostalgic feeling that it was going for me. So I definitely will still say it's a good show, and I'll definitely still recommend it, and I'm hoping that God it finally gets its tsunami run that it's so begging for. But it did disappoint me the most in starting as strongly and getting me as hyped up as it did, and then losing me kind of hard halfway through. It brought me back, but that's still kind of frustrating.
Okay. So my most disappointing show was one about struggles. It was about people in a precarious position seeking their goals. It was about people trying to better themselves in a way. Comic Girls had a lot of promise for episode 1. Because it reminded me, here's what it reminded me of. It reminded me of when I was like 14, watching every single Jenny on DVD that ever came out, and you got 4 episodes, and that's all you got, so you watch it forever.
I'm sorry, Jenny on is the perfect pick for this.
Yes. Every Jenny on DVD, because they just license anything, and you go, this is really stupid, but I get it, and it's weird. And I get what they're going for. Do they have to do that? No, they don't need to. But I'm like in middle school, so ha, boobies. And there was just some part of it that I felt was genuine enough, and it weirdly felt like a throwback to the shows that I used to watch in that era, where they would just license everything. Just every fucking thing, which is now what we're in now, like, which is cool. And maybe this is just my first experience with it now, of just seeing something that I would have, if I watched it years ago, would have probably liked it and gone, no, this is actually really cool, that I like still look back on nowadays and like, God, I loved Real About High School as a kid. It's whatever. Like, I loved all these mediocre garbage shows just for reasons that I felt like they had something genuine to say that were just drenched in anime bullshit because they have to be, I guess. And I don't know. I think it's a weird outlier pick, because I get why I don't expect anybody to like this. I wouldn't call this show good. I wouldn't say that even I'm not valid for liking what I did in it, but I don't know. It made me feel weirdly nostalgic, and I wish it kept it up. But then it got kind of boring.
Really?
Yeah.
I have nothing to say.
I didn't say anything about Wotakoi.
Exactly.
I appreciate it.
Exactly.
Does anyone remember Excel Saga? Did you ever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch? You probably never saw it.
I saw an episode or two. I did not care for it. I'm sure it's as wonderful as everybody says, but it's very Japanese humor, and that doesn't tend to do it for me.
Yeah. Whenever I think about shows that I would have loved in the past that I hated as an adult, Excel
I
Saga
know.
is a million miles up there.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I mean by Comic Girls. I wouldn't even say it's good. It's just I could tell that younger Kieran, bless his little stupid heart, would have loved this.
Hey, you know what? We were both there. We
Yeah.
were both there for a while. It lost me earlier than it did.
Yeah, and eventually I got there. I haven't finished it. I might go back and see it, but it just kind of ran dry. It's like when you buy the second Ginny on DVD, and by episode 6 you go, oh, this wasn't as fun as the first one.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about things that are more fun than we expected. Let's talk
Oh,
about
okay.
the happy flip side to that last category, the show that the best surprise, the show that you didn't really have many expectations for, but blew your fucking mind grapes by the end.
Aggretsuko.
Okay.
I wasn't sure what to think with that show. A lot of people were talking about it. And it was getting a lot of buzz, and I'm like, this is Sanrio, okay? Like whatever they do with it. Oh yeah, she sings metal. It's probably super PG, and it wasn't. It was pretty PG-13. It never got R-rated. You know, they never get like too much into it, but it's a very accurate and very honest yet not lewd look at adulthood, and that's something I appreciated. It was meditative, it was thoughtful, it was hilarious, it was colorful and fun to look at and fun to watch, even though it was very simple animation. I was blown away by Aggretsuko. I like there was a part of me that was like, there's no way to explain just how this series was made as well as it was, considering its premise and its pedigree and its background. But yeah, no, Aggretsuko was the biggest surprise for me this season, and I adore it.
Surprising no one in this best surprise category. Mine is, of course, Hinamatsuri, which I was the one who watched the first episode of it, and I remember coming in here and going, guys, I was the wrong person. I sort of see little glimmers of something, and I was ready for this to be like Wodokoi, that thing that gives me just enough that I don't feel good about killing it, but not so much that I'm actually enjoying it week to week. And then from episode 2 on, oh my God.
Yep.
What is this amazing, precious jewel that you've given me? Thank you. Thank you so much. I never knew I needed this.
I saw that trailer and I was like, these expressions, this animation, this direction, the storyboarding. Like, there's a part of me that's, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot to talk about judging a book by its cover, but you can tell sometimes when, oh wait, this is well made. If the story is good, if the everything under the surface is good, this could be a jewel. And yeah. So I'm really glad that it hit for you, because I was like, I feel like this could be Ben's show. And
Yeah, well, and I remember when we did the draft, you said, Ben, I didn't know what to pick. You said, Ben, why not go Hinamatsuri? You might like that. And turns out you weren't right about that episode, but you were right in the long run.
yes,
I gotta be the lame duck and parrot you. Like, it's just,
Hey.
I didn't expect it at all. I didn't know what to expect from it. A show hasn't made me, and I was the person who watched Pop Team Epic the whole way through and still think it was like really funny, but animated show from Japan hasn't made me laugh that hard since like Great Teacher Onizuka. I don't remember how long ago that was, but like that is the pedigree I compare this to. It is among like Cromartie High School, Great Teacher Onizuka, some of the best comedy shit you can get, and it is. But it has, and again, honestly, I think the GTO parallel is really good because it has this heart to it. Person trying to do something right. There's all these message of the day, these morals, these deeper topics it tries to tackle. But we're having fun along the way, and I did not expect that at all. I loved it.
By the way, speaking of comedies, that reminds me. Have you ever seen Psyche K?
No.
You should. I'm not sure. Here's the thing. I feel like this is going to be a dividing one because I love Psyche K, but it also relies on making fun of a lot of anime and manga tropes.
Is that pink haired dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
if you
good.
guys, it's good.
It's great.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic, and the dub is really good. So if you can,
Okay.
check out Psyche K for another great anime comedy.
That was
It's
a
a-
Shonen Jump one, right?
Was
It's a 4 comma.
Oh, okay.
That was a.
I think it is.
It's not 4 comma. Okay, whatever. Check it
I
out.
thought he was in J Stars. That's why I said it's Shonen Jump.
I thought 4-Como was what I fall into when I watch a 4-kid show.
Ooh, nice.
Best character. Best the main character.
Ooh, so
Yeah.
we're beyond personal awards?
Yes,
All right.
we are into that panel shit.
Okay.
bloodbath begin.
Yeah. So let me throw out the way this works. We've met beforehand. We've put down some nominees. We can add nominees on the fly. If you think of something that we forgot to list,
Yeah.
there's nothing set in stone about these. But right now, for best the main character, we have Naked Boy Joe from Megalobox, Deku from My Hero Academia. That's the other rule. We don't all three have to have seen any particular show. There can be nominees from other things. Those have a tough hill to climb because the people who have seen it would have to convince the others at the table to, if not give it their full-throated endorsement, at least allow it to take precedence over shit they've already seen. So, but it is, I don't think it's ever happened, but it's at least theoretically possible. Okay, so Joe from Megalobox, Deku from My Hero Academia, Hina from Hinamatsuri, Lupin from Lupin the Third, Sugimoto from Golden Kamui, and Retsuko from Aggretsuko. Other point of order. Each of these categories from this point forward gets one winner, one runner-up.
Yep.
If there are not two that we feel are worthy of it, the runner-up is optional. But theoretically, one winner, one runner-up.
This is also one of those tough categories because everyone wants to talk about like who's the main character, who's the through line, and there's a part of me that could argue that Sugimoto and Aserpa are the main characters. They're like a couple, a duo. If I had my way, I would have had Aserpa on the list, but ultimately it came down to a 3-vote of like, okay, we've got to figure out who the main character is, and
yeah, and it's fair to say that there is a certain amount of arbitrariness to this. It's just not any more arbitrary than any other way of doing it.
yeah. Also, I would have put Nanbu over Joe, but he doesn't like that. He didn't like that, and he wouldn't let me. Best main characters. Okay, am I wrong in saying that the main characters this season are not bad, but they're not
necessarily the best characters in their respective shows.
which isn't totally not uncommon in anime. I mean,
like not a lot of people's favorite Dragon Ball character is Goku.
Yeah, I mean there are definitely people who think Goku's the best character, but then there's Chad Vegeta over there. So,
I'm just gonna jump right into the deep end. Retsuko is a real good main character, and I know that's rough because you haven't seen it all.
Yeah.
But compared to anybody else on this list, she is, in my mind, the clear front runner.
Yeah, I'm so sorry, Kieran, but I'm gonna have to agree with them.
Okay.
I'm sorry you haven't seen Aggretsuko, but she's multifaceted. She's entertaining. Like, she's actually one of the best parts of the show.
Here's where I'm gonna stand. I saw the first episode. Is she any more than I'm relatable human? I'm relatable whatever I am, raccoon,
Red Panda.
whatever animal, and I am mad at my boss.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because by the end, in the beginning, she is looking outside of herself for the sources of her woes. Oh, I'm in this shitty job. I've got this shitty boss. By the end, she's taking responsibility within herself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
so clear character arc and progression there.
yeah, very much. Like, that is, like, to say anything more would get pretty spoilerific, and I would, like, if we have to, we will, but I would like to avoid that if possible. But
I'm the person who never cares about spoilers. I'm the person who will gladly get spoiled because I like seeing how they work.
Well,
Okay.
for the sake of the audience.
Well, we already gave the spoiler warning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's still. We talked about Tsunoda, and I feel like, okay, that's a spoiler, but Aggretsuko stuff is a little bit more important to the enjoyment of the show, I feel like.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. So that's what I put forward as a front runner. Let's look at what else is on this list and see who we might be able to cut.
I'll go ahead and throw. I think Sugimoto's great, but I don't think he, on his own, has shown enough in these first 12 whatever episodes to warrant anything more than what he's given, really. Which I think is good. He's awesome. I like his agency. I like what he's made of. He's a war hero out out for this prize, and he has this weird heart of gold going on. I like seeing that, but
Yep.
he isn't scared to rough shit up when he needs to.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting because one of my favorite parts about Sugimoto is how secure he is in his own masculinity.
Oh yeah, that
yeah.
whole episode with him and the murder dude was fantastic.
And how about the fact that, oh God, what's the episode when they're with the mermaid where he and Shiraishi are down on the ground looking at the flower? It's so cute. Look at it. And I'm like, I love these two. I love that I love that all the men in Golden Kamuy are super secure with like, that's cute, or
Yep.
just boners. And I'm like, these
Yeah.
guys are hilarious. I love all of the men, and I'd like to say all of the women in Golden Kamuy, but there are actually not that many. In fact, the last woman that we got was actually a dude.
Yeah, it was actually a dude.
Yeah. But so yeah, Sugimoto is great for all of those reasons, and we learn more about him as we go along. I don't know how much he changes or grows as we go along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like a character who's incapable of that. I hope and kind of believe we might see more of that in the second season. Tune in this
Certainly.
October.
He's not totally static, but I'm not sure there's a lot of room for growth with a character like Sugimoto. Because if I had to be honest with you, he really makes mistakes. That's not a criticism of the show. I'm not mad that Sugimoto doesn't have these moments of self-reflection and deciding like, no, I should have done this instead of that. Most of the time, like if any of the mistakes that he makes or any of his shortcomings are caught up by a Serpa. That's why they're such a power couple. Like they're a team covering each other's weaknesses, and it's so good. But that also means that there's not a lot of room for Sugimoto to make mistakes and get better.
Yeah, and we will have a category later for talking about best pairs of characters,
Yes.
and you better believe those two will come up.
Oh yeah.
And I think just the main issue is that this is a long-form, long-running manga, and this is a show that went in with the full intent of, we're not going to have, like, we didn't know this, but the creators were like, we're not done, so we just, Sugimoto keeps going. And I don't think that's bad, but insofar as compared to other 12-episode things we've had, I don't think he's progressed enough.
All right.
I think we can. I don't want to just cut Joe automatically, but I don't think Joe's gonna make main or even runner up.
Well,
I
we
would-
say that.
Yeah, you say that.
And then I
No.
look at, let's leave Joe on the table for the moment. Let's talk about Hina.
Hina's really okay.
She's a great character, but
she's fantastic, but she's also really, really helped by the fact that she's not always on. Because Hina is a character that could have easily gotten incredibly annoying. She's unbelievably selfish, dense, and dim-witted, which makes her a hilarious foil for Nita and other characters. But she's also kind of tough to watch. She's also got some of the funniest moments in the show. So.
shit. Let's talk about Lupin. I love Lupin. He's a fun presence. He's a fun character. He's the same now as he was 85 years ago when Monkey Punch first punched his first monkey.
Actually, no, 1970 something.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yep, 85 years ago.
Oh, 85 years ago.
In the before time, in the long, long ago.
Back when they had to animate on dinosaur hide.
Yep.
No, I feel like he kind of is the same. It was, I think, the coolest part about him, this whole bit of the show was the first 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Was seeing him interact with the modern, because that was growth. That was the first, that is what you did not get of him in the past.
Something that Lupin kind of got over time, especially in his more modern incarnations, is that they toy around a lot with his attitude towards any situation that he's in, because a lot of the time he's having fun and he's just kind of grinning that shit-eating grin that he's always got. But there are also times where he'll serious the fuck up, and you can never tell when he's putting on airs and when he's really about to fucking murder somebody, and that's always kind of cool. I like the fact that Lupin, he's hard to get a beat on when he wants you to not have that beat on him, and that's great. But yeah, he's still very like impossibly static. You can't in changing him, giving him character growth. That would almost be a detriment to his character because that's not what you want out of Lupin.
Yeah.
You want him to be fun and kooky and clever and crazy, and that's what he is.
And simultaneously the smartest guy in the room and the dumbest guy in the room.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That is Lupin, and that's. But that doesn't make him a fantastic main character by necessity, and it doesn't make him better than other people who are still entertaining and have real legitimate growth and can engross you. Like, well, not a whole lot of people on this list. Hina actually does have some growth.
This is true.
That's an interesting part. Like, I'm surprised that the series commits to growth on Hina's part.
That whole episode when the one agent comes back and tries to get her, that was all her growth.
We get a literal list of her growth, and that's neat.
Which is awesome.
Yeah?
Not a lot of shows can make that organic, and I was like, I see what you're doing here, but it works.
How do we feel about Deku? And by we, I mean this
Yeah.
is
Yeah,
another
how
one.
do you?
Yeah.
So I love Midoriya. Izuku Midoriya is one of my favorite shonen protagonists because I've had some people who was like, he's a crybaby, and I'm like, yes. At the beginning, he's 100% a total crybaby. And funny enough, what's his face? Pro ZD, Sungwon Cho.
Yep.
Sungwon Cho did a whole bit about how like this character is really awesome later on, but in the earlier parts he's like, oh, I beat my pants, and it's hilarious. And yeah, he's one of those characters who early on is kind of tough to root for, but he also grows into this much more dynamic, and not more dynamic, but more reliable and more mature character who takes all of his past experiences and then puts them to use every time he gets into a problem. He's also still really much in the middle of his development, and for a shonen series, you're still seeing him. He's not, no pun intended, still very green. So, I love Izuku Midoriya, and in fact, if I had to choose a shonen protagonist in the last 20 years, he'd easily be in my top 3, if not number 1.
Yeah. I tend to agree, but that's also, I don't want to say a low bar, but it's the best within a set of very narrow constraints that is what a shonen protagonist is.
Yeah. He also hasn't had an opportunity to become Mr. Boring OP like Naruto ended up becoming.
Yeah.
And, he doesn't have the benefit. Yeah, he doesn't have the benefit of a finished story like, say Yusuke Urameshi. Mm-hmm. So it's tough. It's tough. At least we can all agree that he's not. Oh my God! If we want to talk about shonen heroes that started off really interesting and then became the worst, Ichigo Kurosaki. What a great shonen protag who then turns from Yusuke Urameshi to what? I don't even know what he becomes by the end. It's so sad.
Every adjective you can think of.
Yeah.
He's got it. He's the best.
Yeah. All that. Also that.
Yeah.
It feels like we've been talking so much and reaching no conclusions. Fuck.
And
that's not a criticism because I'm still sitting here looking at this list like, what?
I mean, I'm still gonna put Aggretsuko as my favorite main character on this list.
Yeah.
Then who's the runner-up?
Sugimoto for me. What about you? Who was your favorite? We didn't talk about Joe. Do you want to talk about Joe?
I think
Yes.
I think we have to talk about Joe now.
we have to talk about Joe.
Because here's the thing. Joe is incarnate the concept of underdog that is in the show's opening. That's all he is. They run that analogy threadbare the whole thing. That's all he is. He is the 80s movie, 90s anime underdog protag, and that is him to a T. What he does exceptionally well is he is the conduit for everyone around him. So I think you view that as a detriment to his character. I think that makes him that much better because he is always there to get everyone in his corner. By the end of it, everyone is in his corner.
Well,
And
actually, to be fair, I thought that was the driving benefit of his character.
Okay.
That whereas I found his actual personal character to be a half of everybody else, I appreciated and was able to accept that his whole character is about building everyone else up, dragging everyone else to their conclusions.
Yeah.
I think best Joe moment is the fact that it turns out he is not just Shonen Pro Tag.
Yeah.
He is not the perfect fighting spirit will never give up, because he gets into that ring with Burroughs with that gear on his back, saying, okay, I give up. This is all I'll ever be. This is all. If you, Pops, Nanbu, are telling me that this is it, this is the best I can aspire to, is being that guy that throws fights in a slightly bigger ring than he did a year ago, then I believe you. And I think that weakness and humanity is what elevates him. He's not just an abstraction. I would feel pretty comfortable about Retsuko Joe.
I'm fine with that. That's where I stand.
I mean, if you guys want to vote on that, I'm not going to argue necessarily, because I appreciate what Joe did for the series, but see that personal movement that you got with the Burroughs fight, I didn't necessarily get that as much. But I can appreciate your perspective on that. I'm not going to argue it. And again, I've already said what I'd choose, but I'm totally fine being 2v1 on this.
Yeah, and this is one of those lists where looking at it, I'm like, Retsuko's really the only standout. And then as we went through and discussed each one, what if these are all standouts, though? Fuck!
Well, yeah, all of them. You see, in this, again, strong season. They're not all the best characters in their own shows,
Yeah.
but the best characters in their own shows were ridiculously good. Like, again, I think Nanbu, well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that,
But for the moment, congratulations. Best the main character, Retsuko from Aggretsuko. Runner-up, Naked Boy Joe from Megalobox. Now it's time to talk about supporting characters, which can often be the more interesting characters. And down here we've got listed...
Oh, this could be so hard.
Yep.
Yep.
Pops Nanbu from Megalobox. All Might from My Hero Academia, Anzu from Hinamatsuri, Feneko from Aggretsuko, Haida from Aggretsuko, Aserpa from Golden Kamuy, and Nita from Hinamatsuri.
Kill me now, okay? Okay, oh my God. Like, all right, look, I'm going to put this out there. My number one pick is Nanbu.
Thank you. Okay. He is all the way up there for me.
But this runner-up's going to be the, oh my God.
I am, and this often happens where we will just instantly agree on the top spot, and then picking the runner-up winds up being the tough one. Because I don't know if it were entirely up to me, if I would put him in the top spot, but he is way up there, and I am totally comfortable with that. I'll throw this out there. If we're taking that as a given, and we're talking runners-up, to me, it's Aserpa versus Nita.
I agree with the Serpa versus Nita.
Really? Huh. I mean, Aserpa, yeah. No, yeah.
Aserpa's perfect.
I wish Feneko.
There's nothing wrong with her.
I wish Feneko were a little bit more beyond her. Like, she's got a character. She's not two-dimensional. Like, you figure out more about Feneko later on, but she's also a character that had to be used sparingly. Otherwise, her shtick was going to run dry, because her whole shtick is kind of being dry.
Yeah. Feneko's... I mean, everybody's on this list is great, or they wouldn't be on this list.
Yeah.
But yes, Feneko is great. I will throw out there that... we all love Haida. If he hadn't shown up in that leather jacket at the end, would we really love Haida as much?
Oh, not in the end, but the later half. Yeah.
Or is he just a leather jacket with Jim Halpert inside?
The more you learn about Haida and the more that Haida interacts with the story, not to mention his Ben Diskin's performance as Haida elevates that way up. I like it way better than the Japanese version. In fact, I like the dub better than the Japanese version in general, which is not something you hear me say very often. I love Haida, but yeah, he's not He's not hanging with a Serpa. He's not hanging with like.
And by the end of the next season, he very well might, because they're clearly setting him up. Like, one of the reasons why he's so intriguing is they give you just enough hints to realize, okay, he's not just this stock nice guy love interest, but we don't know what he is yet.
Yeah, and that's why the more you get to see, he doesn't act like a lot of those other stock nice guys for most of the show, and that's the cool part. Like, he gets upset, he gets drunk and mad about it, but he also doesn't he doesn't do these creepy manipulative bullshit tactics to try and get Aggretsuko to like him. He just tries to keep putting himself out there, and he keeps bumming up against a wall, and it's really good to see that. Like, he deals with it in a not the most mature, but also not the stock cliche way that you always see, and that's why I appreciate Haida.
Yeah, and in fact, if I have a criticism of the character, it's that monologue he gives in the last episode, just because it felt like, okay, we got to get all this stuff out there because this might be the last episode. It felt like something that somebody writes when they think it might be the ending, and I'm afraid they might have played too many of their cards too quickly. I think it's hard to then walk back from that and show that progression, which I would very much like to see in full, not rushed at the end.
Well, the good thing about that is in the second season, we can definitely we have more opportunities to see what Haida's all about, because we know that he plays bass or guitar. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to me, because I'm like, hey, wow, that's actually kind of a cool dynamic you've got. We know Aggretsuko's into metal. There's something you could do with that, and I love the idea of them bonding over music. So we'll see. Beyond that, though, yeah, Haida, really cool character. Love him. Ben Diskin's performance is like super good, but yeah, he's not hanging with the Serpa, and he's not hanging with like maybe. See, okay, so you said Nita, and I love Nita, but I'm not sure. I'd choose him over a Serpa.
Well, let's take a second to give full respect to a couple of the other characters on this list. All Might, much like Deku, is an exemplary example of what he is, of that shonen mentor. We did a whole video.
We did a video talking about how good All Might is in the role that he's given.
He is still constrained by the role he's given to a certain extent. It is, for as awesome as My Hero is, it is still very much of its genre, and All Might is very much the mentor who must pass on to the next generation.
Yeah. I also want to put out there that, like, when it comes to supporting characters, My Hero Academia is absolutely packed to the brim with these great supporting cast. Todoroki, Bakugo, Sue. You've got like all of these different villains who are also side characters. You've got I could sit here naming off a bunch of characters that I just love their personalities of and want to see more of.
Yep. And in fact, after we get done with the individual character awards, we do have a new category called Best Ensemble to give props to those shows that maybe don't have that one standout best supporting character, but God, they have such a great cast.
Yeah. So that being said,
let's talk about Anzu for a second.
Anzu, girl.
Because I said I think it's down to a Serpa or Nita. She's the only one that makes me question that.
Yeah, ditto, agreed.
Every time she has, I think, barring Nanbu, the biggest growth of any character throughout this 12 episode chunk. I didn't see Aggretsuko, but I feel like out of anybody, when she shows up to the end, she has the biggest transformation in the most believable way I've seen in a long time.
Anzu's character is fantastic to watch, but I will say this. While it's really good to see this development, to see her growth, to see what she brings out of other characters, she by herself is not the most entertaining or the funniest. And in a show that is a standout of funny, multidimensional characters, while she's definitely got the most depth, she's also not the one that I think of like, oh God, this is the funniest, this is the character I want to see in these situations.
No, because when she's there, that's the heart. That's what I like the most about this show, is that not everybody is here to make you laugh. She is there to be like the center of everyone going, we wish we could be as good as Anzu is.
No, that's right. I mean, man, I love the fact that fucking Nita takes her out
I
on
know,
on a whole day of just doing whatever she wants to do to make her happy and also break her.
Yeah,
And, like,
I'm
make her-
going to bring you down to us.
I'm gonna make you the spoiled brat I know you really are underneath.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you trying to get out of this bucket, fellow crab?
And
Yeah.
when he fails, it's marvelous.
Yeah, it's God, they sell it in the best way.
And that's why I would put Anzu above Nita, whereas Nita has a bunch of funny situations, but he's rarely the source. Like he gets moments where he gets to be the source of comedy, but usually it's things playing off him that are really funny.
He's the beleaguered straight man dealing with all this craziness.
yeah, and I feel like, but that just says how important he is to every scene he's in.
Yeah.
'Cause the second Nita's in a scene, I'm like, I'm gonna laugh.
Oh.
What do you got for me?
Yep.
Yeah,
And-
that's also true. And just I'm sorry, do we still have? Oh God, do we still have best laugh on here, or is that?
I don't think we do. Do
I
you
don't
have
know
a
if we
best
did.
laugh you would like to share
Oh
with the
my
group?
God, I'm sorry. Nothing's ever gonna kill me. Like when he leans in with the puppet.
Right,
And he's like, "Hey there, Hina, it's your mom." And I'm sorry, I can't think of that scene without laughing.
Yeah, that was almost my waifu pick.
Yeah, do you
Was
know
that
how-
one Nita's right hand?
Do you know how often I think of a joke and start laughing? Almost never. That is a testament to how good Hinamatsuri is at being a comedy, and that's Nita. That's Nita being the straight man and doing the silliest possible thing. That's why that scene kills me. It's Nita putting himself in a hilarious situation that makes no real sense.
Yeah.
But if I had to choose which one had to live, which one had to die, that'd be, oh man, it's actually tougher now that you mentioned it.
Who else is on the list?
So right now we've got Pops, Nanbu, we've got
Shells.
Anzu, Asurpa, and Nita.
That's it?
That's it.
Asurpa, man, we don't
No, wait,
talk about
okay.
Asurpa.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
Serpa. She is, when you want to talk about, however, the funniest character, she's the reason that show's funny. Except for maybe Shiraishi in a lot of bits. But
Yeah,
she is
Yeah, but she's funnier than Shiraishi. I'll
Yeah.
throw that out there.
she is so good.
Also, Tsukimoto can be funny all on his own.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Tsukimoto's great because the way he can bounce off other characters, like, again, Murder Boner Dude.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. That whole segment where they're having that romantic moment where Tsukimoto is about to kill him, I lost it because, again, that's another one of those moments where any other character like Sugimoto would have been disgusted and pulled back.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
he goes into it. And I'm like, Sugimoto, I love you so much. Also, did we put Shiraishi down as...
We didn't, but we can add him right now, or at least give him his due.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't
'cause
think he quite hangs, but
I think he's very good, especially in that haunted house episode, the hotel
Yeah.
episode. That is like, he stole the show with
Yeah.
that for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't name him. He's not even my runner-up, but God, he's the funniest part of that show for me.
I
Like-
love him.
Like, as much as Asurpa is hilarious, and
Yeah.
oh my God, that shot where she shoots
I
out
was
of
just
the
gonna
tree.
say, where she shoots out of the hut.
That may be the funniest joke all season. Like that scene from Hinamatsuri are right up there of like, I cannot believe that shot even happened, and it was just so good. But Shiraishi just consistently, he's a great source of humor because he's a dork, but he's competent. So he keeps getting himself into these situations where he gets to be hilarious. Mermaid. That mermaid joke is so well set up and then pulled off with, oh man, that is.
Even in the last episode where he shows up, I'm still here. nobody acknowledges him.
Yep. And then when the stairs collapse,
Yeah, and then slowly hit with your face. No,
When
he's good.
when he drops the bombs into the fire.
Yeah.
Oh man.
No, there's plenty of great Shiraishi moments. I love him. I'm so glad he stuck around. His introduction was fantastic. I love that him and Sugimoto played off each other so well.
But Yeah, so but Asurpa is hilarious, competent, great design. Like, oh man,
Oh, yeah.
I cannot get over how well designed some of these characters are, and Asurpa especially.
Asurpa, so we talked when we were talking about best waifus about how I can't mentally age up by 10 years these characters. Asurpa is the only one that made me question that self-imposed.
But she's also definitely a little girl. Like there are moments where it's like that where her youthfulness definitely shines through.
Absolutely, but in the way that a young woman is sometimes still a little girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I
Like-
feel like she has the agency and knows what she's doing to carry herself. Because the quest, the whole reason people are going for this is kind of her thing,
Yep.
and everyone else is just. She knows the most about it. I want to get with her, and Sugimoto had the chance to get in touch with her first.
Yeah.
I say she is a young woman, not a little girl, not because I want to
Yeah.
sexualize her, but because she takes on the responsibility, the personal agency.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to talk about like what is adult or what is mature, she is one of the most mature characters in the show.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But
She's
on that cusp, though.
yeah.
And I think that's a fascinating time in a person's life, and I
Yeah.
think that's why I can't just mentally add 10 years to her,
Yeah.
because that's not who she is. That's
Yeah.
not what's fascinating about her character.
Yeah. But well, I mean, but we're talking when we say add 10 characters, when we say waifu and husbando, it's not necessarily people we actually would want to sleep with or get with. I mean, with Joe, it 100% was. No, that's not but sometimes it really is just like the characters that we love the most, the ones that are like, I would want that person in my life. And for her, for Asurpa, oh my God, like if I had to be put in a lot with anybody, I'm like, Asurpa's amazing, and that's
Yeah.
why for me it's if Nanbu hadn't had the most standout moments of growth
I know.
and depth and some of the darkest and most moving scenes in that entire show, Asurpa would have been my number one pick. It's not a question for me. So
It sounds like we're saying it's Nanbu Asurpa.
But I'm not.
I mean,
Because here's the thing: you're writing off Nita and Anzu. Are you telling me we're gonna have no Hinamatsuri characters on this list?
hold on. We have best ensemble.
That's
and then-
great, but Nita and Anzu are amazing.
I agree. I just think Asurpa is.
I think that's why this is, if anything, a harder category than best the main character.
Oh yeah, and it was always going to be.
Yeah.
Because you're right, they are amazing. They are 110%, and Asurpa might be 115.
You say that? How has she changed? What about Asurpa is different from episode 3 to episode 12?
I mean, yeah. If you want, if you want to put character growth in there, much like Sugimoto, she has not had a whole lot of room to grow. I mean, there have been moments where she's like, made discoveries. I mean, she got but they're all less growth in her character and more moving past like silly things like with the miso and whatnot. But she's also kind of interesting because and this is one of those longer format shows.
I mean, it's true. That's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
It's like I'm aware of that.
Yeah, it's hard to really pin down her growth because she's kind of still in the early stage of the journey.
Yeah, which I think is still to her benefit, as you were saying, that it's that because of where she is, that what makes her compelling.
But it's also to her detriment in terms of if she's a compelling character in terms of growth. But I don't necessarily believe growth makes or breaks a character. I think it is an additional part to it.
I also think she might, out of everybody on this list, she might be the closest to self-actualization. She respects her heritage. She does not slavishly follow it. She is intelligently with introspection and in picking and choosing what is me, who am I, what is my place in the world.
And while still not being like, she's still got her immaturities.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like she's still got her hang-ups, she's still got her quirks, which is the thing that makes me love her. If she were just perfect, then she'd be absolutely boring.
Yep.
Well, I think it's going to have to come down to a vote here because for me, it's Nanbu Asurpa. Ben, do you have a choice?
I don't know if I agree that it has to come down to a vote, but as I look at the list, yeah, it's Nanbu Asurpa.
What's it?
I was with you, Kieran.
Wait, who's?
Thank you.
I'm curious though. Who is your runner-up?
Yeah.
Nita,
Nita? Not a.
100%.
See, if it had gone, Nanbu, Nita, I wouldn't be mad, but
No, and I like, that's the thing, is I agree with everything you're saying about Acerpa. I think for me, I think Nita was exemplary in everything he was in. Every scene he was in, he was perfect. He was never boring. I was always entertained every time he was on the screen. I could say that equally about Acerpa.
I would tend to agree with you. I certainly find Nita a more entertaining character, and that's not to take anything away from Acerpa because she's great, but Nita works so well as a straight man because I think I'm maybe the most like Nita. I see myself in Nita. I aspire to be like Acerpa.
Yeah.
I want to be that competent. I want to be, and that's coming from somebody who's, Jesus Christ. I'm not going to put a number to how much older than Acerpa I am. Significantly, let us say.
I don't think you could use multiplication.
No.
I don't think you could.
But yeah, just the level of competence, the level of self-assuredness, but combined with still having that youthful joy in the world around her, in discovering things about the world and about other people and about herself.
She's good. She's great. She's very good. Like all of these people are an A+. This is who gets the 5 points of extra credit.
Yeah. And I think the part of extra credit that goes to her is the fact that she's got a more emotional depth than Nita. I think that's the thing that pushes it over for me is that she has that extra step of like worldliness. She's her culture, her mission, her past.
I love seeing Nita's change of going, she's nobody, to yes, she's my daughter.
I agree. Like
Him embracing it and actually changing throughout things.
that's the reason Hinamatsuri is so good is that it progresses its characters. And it is not afraid to do that, and that's so good about Hinamatsuri.
And he's still to the end trying to break and bring down people, but then he can't do it. And he's like, maybe I'm not doing things right. And he changes his tune.
Fuck. I might be flipping my, we're talking about a matter of degrees, a matter of
because like
tenths of a point.
yes, I know. It's like if I didn't feel so strongly about Hinamatsuri, I would be fine
And
giving that up. But hot damn.
And that's why I say, like, I don't like the idea of just putting it to a vote and moving on. Like, let's talk through this shit.
Oh, man. This is nuts. This is crazy. I don't think we've ever had this kind of hot debate over any topic, actually. I think this is the longest we've ever spent.
We agree that Nanbu's number one, though, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Do we want to talk about him? Like,
mean,
let
but
everything
he-
else simmer for a sec?
Yeah, you know what? Nanbu is a fantastic character, partially because he's introduced as this slime ball who wants Joe to stay in his place
the
and
worst.
fail. But then you figure out why he is the way that he is once you meet Aragaki. Aragaki's appearance changes the dynamic of the entire series.
Absolutely.
And that's because you learn what Nanbu was like before he got to Joe. You learn that he was actually a guy who wanted to train the best. But he gets broken down. He loses the most important person in his life, and he feels like he can't love like that again.
The episode with the parable of the frog and the scorpion. That is
Yeah.
that is the most cliched bullshit. As in most of Megalobox. But it's so good because it so perfectly parallels Joe. What I talked about with him going into the ring with that gear on his back, like, I guess this is all I am. At that same time, Nanbu's over here. Yeah, I guess I'm just a scorpion. I guess it's just in my nature.
But here's the thing, and here's the underlying thing about Nanbu. Yes, So let's say you can't change who you are. No, he couldn't change who he was. Because he was always that guy who was going to tell him to break through and do his best. His moment of weakness, his moment where he faltered was after he lost Aragaki.
Yeah.
He had to work back to the person he always was. When he tells Joe no, fight through, that's Nanbu.
Yeah.
He doesn't change from being a scorpion. He goes back to the scorpion he always was, injecting Joe with the venom to break that lion down.
Yeah. No, I like that we see Nanbu at what is essentially his worst at the beginning of the show. And then he gets characterized more. We see the past him, and then he slowly builds back up to that and then exceeds it.
Yep.
And
It's
how much
so interesting.
And I say over and over, yeah, this is cliched bullshit, but they do it so well. That is the exception. That
Yeah.
is the cliched bullshit would be this guy as an obstacle to be overcome and then left behind.
Exactly.
How much more satisfying is it this way? To see him also overcoming the obstacle of this person that he could continue to be and chooses not to.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's and him just the episode with as you mentioned the episode with his gear. That whole episode
Yep.
where he takes his eye.
Yep.
So good.
And,
Yeah.
and before that first glimmer that we see that I'm only sort of now realizing in retrospect, Joe didn't say, I'm going to go win this without gear. Nanbu's the one who says, I have an idea. He is the one who teaches Joe what Joe is capable of being,
Yeah.
who shows that faith in Joe.
Yep.
He's so good. He's so good. Nanbu best husbando.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's way up there. I'm so glad he got a happy ending.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
it makes me real happy. That's why I think the ending meant so much to me is seeing him just practicing the speech for his dojo opening again. It's like,
Yep. And there is never a moment of regret or bitterness for what he had to do to get there, for what he lost. Like, nope, that was the price, and it's worth it, so I'll pay it.
yeah. Oh, he's so good.
Yep. Oh my God. He's so good. That's, there's, and maybe that's why I always treat Joe like, whatever. Maybe that's because
No,
he
because
got
the shadow of
Yeah.
Nanbu, he's just like, sorry, kid.
But to Joe's favor, Nanbu would not have
Yeah.
been where he was if it weren't
they
for Joe.
both brought each other up in the best ways.
Yep. To new heights. So, but yeah, okay. So good. We've talked about Nanbu.
Yep.
I'm happy about that, but we still have a problem.
I'm-
Which dog are we putting a bullet in?
Because here's the thing. I do think that growth shouldn't be a breaking point for a character's worth or value, because I think that's honestly a real cop-out lame thing. Sometimes a character can be one thing, and if they're worked incredibly well, that's fucking awesome. I think people want to see character growth because that's the narrative of fiction we've grown up with. We want to see people do this, have problems, and get over them. That's just literature. That's what it is. But I don't think a Serpa not necessarily having that change is a bad thing. I think you have a very good point of her just being what she is and currently being this. She's kind of Joe done better in a way. She is the driving force that brings everyone else up, but she knows exactly what she's about. And we haven't necessarily gotten to see her moments of weakness that she triumphs yet, like we saw with Joe.
Yeah, and I think that's what it comes down to, is that I want to see a Serpa have a moment of doubt.
Yeah.
I want to see her struggle. I want to see her wonder if she's doing the right thing.
And not in the kind of haphazard way that we saw in the gambling episode.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that's coming.
I think so too.
She deals with the "that's your dad" thing kind of in stride.
She does, but only by deferring it. I'm going to meet this guy, I'm going to figure out what's going on. I think when that time comes, I think that's when we see the potential that we know is there with this character to be even more amazing than she is right now.
Which is honestly is kind of more fascinating to me that her way of dealing with it is saying, okay, then let's go. Now I super need to go. Like, and that's just how she internalizes it, and then that's how she presents herself.
It's a very mature way. I mean, like, okay, then prove it. Let's go find him. Like,
Yeah.
instead of running from it, instead of getting freaked out by it, she's a new woman, and it's
Yep. But then you compare that with Nita, who in one scene can be trying to bring Anzu down to his level and being won over. In the next scene can be the most loyal stand-up Yakuza, the cuddliest Yakuza you have ever met, and have that be perfectly of a piece. That's not...
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no contradiction there. I think he might have... Other than Pops, who we've already talked about, he might have the most nuance out of any of these characters.
Certainly. I think we see a lot of that exemplified in the whole episode of the documentary. It's like we see the sides of him that's just what he does. And then when they're like, "You're not the Yakuza. What are you doing? That's not. Come on, dude. We need to see scary Yakuza man." And he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay? I'm so sorry." But we also get that, like, you have to take that in context of what we saw earlier of him being like scared of that one guy who was coming out of prison and is like, I can't be the boss. You have to be the boss because I want this house to stand and I don't want people to get pissed. So it'd be cool I'm sure, hey, it'd be rad to be the head of the Yakuza. I don't want it. I want you guys to take it because I know that it would make everyone else more happy and I'm fine. And I love seeing that because that's so real and that's what I like seeing in people.
The more I look at it, the more I think about it, I think it's got to be Nanbu Nita.
oh.
But what do you think?
Well, I already said that if it were Nanbu Nita, I would not necessarily argue. I mean, for me, Serpa is my favorite, one of my favorite characters, if not maybe my favorite character this season, just because of the comedy she gets, the depth that she gets, how cool her design is, and just overall like the contribution she gives to her show. But at the same time, the arguments you make for Nita are totally like valid and culpable, and I don't have any arguments. So if you guys decide that it's Nanbu Nita, I'm gonna be like, okay. I mean, I think a Serpa has gotten to do here. So if that's the way you want to roll that, then okay.
Guys, congratulations. Best supporting character, Pops Nanbu from Megalobox. Runner-up, Nita from Hinamatsuri.
I'm so glad to hear that these dads are winning.
Oh yeah, dads. You know.
Oh, yeah, because, that was so hard. Make me vote for the dads. Twist my arm there, Kieran.
I already voted for the daddies, so.
Yeah.